When I tell you guys, 8 years ago, I left South Florida, right? Fast forward. All it is like deja vu in my life, constantly, for the past couple years. What do I mean by this? I'm from West Palm Beach, right? Like, I'm a native. Born and raised, my bloodline, north, south, east, west. Like, my blood runs deep in Florida, right? In my lifetime, I've watched dirt road go to 12-lane paved road. I've watched overpasses be built, so at the four-way intersections, there can actually be some movement, or else you'd be at a standstill for a long time. I've watched, I can't even tell you how much forestry destroyed, right? I can't tell you the orange groves. I can't tell you the swamp. I can't tell you how deep. It took me years to get over the emotional trauma when it comes to how bad they have destroyed Florida to make it their concrete jungle. Like, you can hear it in my voice right now. Like, it really, because I have a strong connection to Florida. But I left 8 years ago to rebuild my life and to get what was taken from me, to go back into nature, to go where the rat race ain't rat racing. You understand? Florida turned into the rich folks' playground, like my backyard, where I'm from, right? And it was hard. As a 24-year-old, you're looking at all this, and everybody's looking at me like I'm crazy. Meanwhile, 8 years later, what I saw is facts, bro. Like, fast forward all these years, what I was saying then, and when people were looking at me crazy, it's 100 times worse, right? For me to come up to a small town up in the mountains and in a region that I fell in love with because my best friend moved up here when we were 14 after the '08 crash, I left 2 years before COVID, 2 years before Joe Biden, 2 years before politics and all the BS and everybody running from what they created. And the things I've seen in these small towns and what is happening. And the reason why I'm emotional is because as a native to Florida, what was taken from me is something I'm watching the natives of this land be taken from them. And then you have the people come with their attitudes. They don't come for the right reasons. They come for their pocketbook because it looks better. It comes from a place of whatever benefits these people. It doesn't come from a place of genuine. It doesn't come from a place of my heart. And that's where I feel like I'm being called to go, like I did. I felt the call to go to the wilderness and go to the mountains. So I did it. Just for these years. I left South Florida, and in 2020, I sold the house that I was jump through hoops and all this. I sold the house and bought a motorhome. Fast forward 8 years later, it's deja vu constantly. You know how wild it is? These small towns are being ruined. And these folks that have the money, they don't even put it into the town. It's far and few and in between that are actually putting it into the town. They come and take up all this land and do this and do that. That does not benefit anybody but them. And I watched it my whole life. For 24 years, bro. And then I sit up here. And for the last 5 years, 2 years after I left, 3 years after I left, because it was what, July 5th, 2017 was the exact day that I got on a one-way plane ticket and left Florida, South Florida. South Florida is not the same as the rest of Florida. That's why I say South Florida. Just had to make that clear, you know. But you know how crazy it is? Sorry, y'all. I don't like... As you can see, that's why it fell. For the past 5 years, I have watched the same thing that broke my heart growing up. I have watched the ones that are the actual workers to the ones that come into town and build and do all these things be the same ones where it gets harder for them to afford. Because what you're doing is nothing beneficial to the rest of them. You skyrocket the real estate and you do all of these things and it doesn't help anybody but yourself. I've watched so much development in this region where I moved. Let me explain something. I've run UPS. I've run mail, the postal service as well. I've done so many and maneuvered in this region from A to Z, you know what I mean? In 100-mile radius going north-south and 100-mile radius going east-west. You know, like the whole entire circle concept of it. And I have watched so much development. And it was crazy when Hurricane Helene came through. That's just a whole nother subject. But what I see also is these chains. And then you got, it's pathetic, man. Like these small towns, they only have so much space. And then they put these chains in there. These corporate stuff or whatever the case is, you'll end up getting 3 Dunkin' Donut shops, or like coffee shops, one of them being Dunkin' Donuts, within a mile radius. I mean, where there's no room for actual stuff that's around town, it's still outsiders ending up. And it's like, I don't even know how to elaborate it all because I don't have somebody to sit down and ask me the conversations about it to where I can elaborate back and forth, because it's from such a huge spectrum that I've seen to where it, like, I don't even know where to start or where to begin, because somebody in my shoes, like, not everybody has walked my shoes and seen what I've seen, and then to watch it all fucking happening again and like, yo folks, like, y'all don't want this to happen, bro. Like, that's like they were talking about putting the speed pass or something in the Tennessee interstate, like close to Nashville or something. And I'm just over here like, can I explain it to you this way? When I came up here and I told folks I had to drive and pay to drive on the interstate, they looked at me crazy. Do you not understand? When I grew up in Florida, when my parents are working, they were the ones that built the road, their tax-paying dollars, and yet they still have to pay to go on that road. My mother and my father grew up when 95 was a dirt road and didn't even go down to Miami. And it's like so frustrating because I listen to these locals, just like this young lady today who came in the shop. You know, I'm in Greece and she's like an insurance person that's like 10 years younger than me, in her early 20s, you know. And she was telling me about how she's from up here, but she was down there in college. So like I'm over here. That's how I'm even thinking about all this again. Because me and her were just talking about all of it, from what I just mentioned to you, and then talking about how diverse it is down there, and all the things, and just now what's happening up here. She was talking about going to another local city not too far from this city, and then they were talking, because they're both from up here, and then they were talking about the city over here, and what now they're trying to make it like this, which is a major city. They're trying to, it's the little city, or it's the small city that's close to all the small towns. You understand? So, you drive 30 minutes, an hour and a half, however long it is to get to the city. But like now they're trying to make it into a major city. And then she was talking about the rent over in the city, in which it's like a city or like 2 cities over from where I am. She was talking about the rent, $2,100 for a 600 square foot. And then she was talking about how there's like 100 or something homeless encampment and all this thing close to what she was looking at, because she was trying to be downtown because of the work situation. And it's like, it's frustrating and it's aggravating. And it's like, when you see what I see coming down the pipeline, because I've already lived it, but yet I already know what comes of it. Some of the stuff I've seen, don't even try me, bro. Because let me tell you, I've seen folks that have moved here out of state run their mouths, and they were handled, bro. That's the one thing about the South. And once you get up in these mountains and in these hollers, bro, But it's like even the culture, you want to go to the culture aspect of this. Then the culture aspect of this is dying out too. And it's like, my favorite is listening and talking to the older folks that are from here, that are natives, and listening to their stories. Because they're actually in tune. They plow. They roll hay. I mean, from A to Z, when it comes to Mother Nature, they are very in tune and very out of tuned when it comes to what's going on with the rest of the world. And then you look at the years that are the generation that is 50 years younger than the folks that I'm talking about. And it's like, my generation, man, they don't even, it's like, y'all don't get it. Like, we were set up to fail, and then you yell at us because we don't want to fucking participate in the play anymore. You know what I'm saying, bro? Because I don't even know what I'm saying. I feel like I'm just rattling on from different points of views, I guess. I don't even know. It's just constant deja vu, and it's aggravating. And then you just listen to the locals talk about it, and then you watch these outsiders, because I've watched it my whole life. I literally tried getting away from you people 8 years ago, and I didn't do it for no political reason. I didn't do it because it felt better in my pocket either. I did it because I was so intrigued on wanting to see something other than flatland palm trees and the beach and the sand. I wanted to see the opposite of what my life was thus far. Never seen snow, And y'all do it, and y'all are so fucking evil, bro. You come up in here, and it's like, y'all think your shit don't stink either. That's the thing that, like, blows my mind. Because you smell the loudest. Like, the natives can literally smell you out from miles away. And it's like, don't even get me started on the South Florida part. That shit's dead and gone, bro. The whole Florida native culture, completely different tune. Completely different band. Completely different teacher. Tutor. Instrumentalist. Whatever. It makes me sick going down there. Especially like to my hometown where I'm from. I remember going into Palm Beach Island in those big rich houses when I was a little girl, putting little boots on my shoes, little covers, you know what I'm saying? So you don't track anything in there. I remember going with my father. Bring your daughter to work day, whatever. Just for them to, oh, you fucking peasants. They try to, they've literally tried kicking us off Palm Beach for so long. They've been trying so long to make it a private island. Throughout when I was in high school, they made parking spots even harder to come across. And they were doing things to try to make it to where, yeah. Then don't get me twisted about how you get people from up north coming down in their RVs and in their buses and all this stuff and taking up the inlets. Don't tell me that. I don't even want to get into that either. It's so crazy, bro. And I've watched, it's another thing because it all revolves around tourism. When it comes to the leaders and what they put money towards. It's not towards what the locals need. It's towards what can make us more money. After Hurricane Helene, you best to believe they got that Blue Ridge up and clean as quick as they possibly could. And the Appalachian Trail. That's facts. That's facts. You best believe they did. And guess what? They were trying to put, in the county I'm in, they were trying to put a couple $1 million into a fucking walking trail or something like that to expand it, to go from there to there, and blah, blah, blah. And then Hurricane Helene happened. Mind you, we've had an influx in people for the past few years since COVID. But what are you doing to the roads? All these fucking potholes. These roads that haven't been touched in forever, where you got 10 times the amount of traffic now. You know what I mean? But it's deja vu. And the only reason why is because I care. Because I'm a compassionate person. I have such a huge heart. I have empathy. I have all the things. And I just care on a deeper level. And I know what was taken from me. And it's hard to just sit here and watch people get it taken from them. And then you got folks that come in here because they got money and they think that there's something cool about them. Or they think they're like... Because they come around people that would rather live very simply and not materialistically. So they think they're better. Don't get me wrong. I know there's the good batches of you that have moved down here from in the South. I know. But I mean, it's aggravating because I try getting away from it. And all it does... If it just, you know how hard it is to just see a license plate that says Florida for me? How crazy is that? All my family members have Florida license plates. And when I see a Florida license plate, I'm like. But the one thing I will say is before Hurricane Helene, it was getting like ridiculous. You know what I'm saying? But then it did slow down and cause somewhat of a natural flow back. Because, I mean, before Hurricane Helene, it was getting like... Because you got to understand the infrastructure and the roads and all these things are not meant for it. Like, it's just, it wasn't built for it. And then you don't know how to drive on these roads, which are windy, curvy, sharp, incline, decline. And it's such a unique perspective I have on all of this. But that little insurance girl, she got me over here like, thinking about it, you know what I mean? Just going in depths a little bit in my mind, and I'm just, when I came up here, y'all, I love me an old square body truck, right? Now it's like, oh, I got new fancy car. It's like, you know, which is nice, cool, fine, dandy, but it's like the culture in which I came here to embrace is dying out, just like where I came from, it died out. Like I told her, I said, for me, I grew up with a lot of first generation Americans, like where their parents immigrated, but it just hadn't became the concrete jungle it became. And so it's just, it's hard to just sit here and watch Mother Gaia, Mother Nature, be absolutely destroyed. I've watched folks log and just leave a fucking mess. Meanwhile, folks are freezing, but yet there's a mess up here that could probably keep you warm. So many different aspects, when it comes to all of this, that like I said, I don't even know where to start or begin. It's just frustrating having deja vu constantly in my life. And the ones who are around my age, if not older, from South Florida, and if you left, you get it. And if you haven't left, you're probably, I don't know, some people really like it down there, and some people are like, holy crap, this is getting outrageous. You know what I mean? It's just one of them things, but I'm sure you're either loving it down there and barely making it, or wanting to get the heck out of there. I don't know. Let me know, I guess. Because for me, I tried making it easier on me. I tried, doing all the right things just to have deja vu and just to see the market and all the things since I've been here. I was here before COVID, so it's like, it's wild. Like, if anybody would have told me anything I've experienced since I got on that one-way plane ticket, when it comes to, like, this particular area, I wouldn't believe you. I wouldn't have believed you. I wouldn't have believed you. But 8 years later, I'm still in a motorhome. Gonna be 33 in 2 months. I've been doing it on my own. And it's still a struggle. Because I don't have no, significant other to split bills with and do all those things, or I don't have people to rely on, or I don't have people to turn to like that. Like, you know what I mean? I don't have that. I don't have that community I can rely on, or have, come help me if I need to do this, that, and the third like that. No, I got to jump through hoops, figure it out, and maneuver. And yet, as I watch deja vu happen all the time, well, I feel better, and I think you get the point. I'm gonna go take care of these kitty cats.